do you apply fake eyelashes?
And speaking of all these things, this makes me think of managing business relationships. Austin, I know that one of the most difficult things in business is knowing how to treat people and how to compartmentalize how business is operating. Do we become friends with our business partners? Do we keep them at a distance? Do we invite them over for dinner, or do we just have cordial conversations over the phone? Walk us through what you think is a good way of managing business relationships. And I know throughout today's podcast, we're also going to discuss some of the faults that we have and things that we've learned over time. But to kick us off, what are your thoughts and what is your advice on managing business relationships?
So I think in order to manage business relationships the best as you can, I think that you have to take a little bit from my book and Jose's book. First, though, you have to start off with Jose's book. And Jose's book is normally buttering up or making friends with the person that you're in business with, or just establishing a good relationship. So damn near every time that we go out, Jose chats up whoever we're talking to, the retail person, the cashier, the waitress, the waiter, whatever. Chats them up and makes them feel good, about their service, about themselves, and, just leaves an overall good, long-lasting feeling, an impression of us to them. And normally what that does, it takes somebody who may be a little bit reserved or conservative with how they carry out their business to someone who is a little bit more open. And then normally that ends in us getting some free shit. Now, I'm not just saying that to brag and say, hey, we get free shit and you don't, you losers. I'm saying that's a little bit of it. That's probably like 1% of it.
That's like 55%.
This is some of it, But the rest of it is, that is a good method or a good point of emphasis that you want to carry with you in all of your business relationships or business partnerships. Because when you think about building a relationship, building a partnership, it's normally built off of a feeling of mutual respect and mutual feelings towards each other. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't always have to be intimate, but saying, hey, I like that person goes a long way. So when you're meeting someone or in a business relationship or partnership with someone, making them feel appreciated goes a long way. And when you make someone feel appreciated, they're normally the first person, or you're normally the first person on their mind, because you made them feel appreciated. And when you're the first person on their mind, they're like, hey, I have to take care of you. And when they think I have to take care of you, they make certain accommodations for you that they may not make for other people. Or they may say, hey, look, we have to make sure that Austin Jose's order gets there on time, in perfect condition, just how they want it. And we may even add a little extra so and so forth to it. You know what I'm saying? So that is the very important thing about establishing good relationships and damn near being friendly with people. But I also would say that not only do you have to be friendly, because friendliness opens the person up, but you also have to be kind of
disassociated
and not completely trusting. Because in this world, that you only have so many people that you can truly, truly trust. And when you're doing business with somebody, it's about money most of the time. There's too much going on for you to say, hey, I completely trust somebody, and you really don't know them from a can of paint. So when you're in business with someone and they have to try to make money and you're trying to make money, sometimes that friendship shit will be cool, but at the end of the day, it's like, hey, look, I'm trying to make my profit. So if I have to fuck you over in the long run, I'll try to do it. And I'm not saying me, I'm talking in another person's perspective. So you always have to look out and kind of be, perceptive for certain things and certain people like that, because just like the old adage says, it's not personal, it's business.
And speaking of adages, there's a very nice one that I just found. I don't trust words. I question actions too, but I never doubt patterns.
That's a bar.
It is. I found it on Quora. So just spontaneously, shout out to Kathy. I was looking.
Shout out Kathy.
Shout out Kathy. Hey, all organic, just like Whole Foods. I'm going to be honest here. One of the biggest issues that I have that Austin compliments me in this event is that I have a tendency to be too trusting. I like giving people the benefit of the doubt and believing that they're going to treat me how I would treat them. And although you would say that perhaps that's altruistic and that's kind, I would appreciate that. But at the same time, it's also ignorant and stupid in many cases, which is why Austin is a good compliment to me in many scenarios. Now, that's almost like a childlike desire that you just want the world to be nice and perfect. And we could go into a whole psychoanalysis, but we're not going to go there.
I would say, though, 50-50, when it works for you, when that works for you, it works so well. And you would get certain things out of people and certain treatment from people that I wouldn't receive, because you are so open with people and you expect, or not expect, but you're so trustworthy from their perspective to the point to where they're like, hey, look, I'll open up to you. And again, most cases, or in 50% of the cases, it works out really well. However, in other cases, it may not work out that well.
And I would argue that the statistic actually goes down proportionally to the distance that you have from the individual.
Oh, yeah. Probably.
So if I am speaking to you person to person, you know who I am, you feel my energy, you see the presence that I have, and you sense everything. You can't fuck me over as easily as you can from the other side of the country, the other side of the world, across the phone. And that's the biggest thing why we have internet warriors who are out there tweeting things and saying things like they're badass and everything and like they know everything, because there's no repercussions.
Right.
Now, that's why I think in learning this process, I think proximity of how you approach relationships is important. If it's interpersonal and you're in person, I believe that these scenarios lead to better relationships. You can rely on intuition a little more. You can be a little more giving. And don't get us wrong, you have to be giving to begin with. The ratio is 8-2. You have to give 8 times to receive 2. However, you have to tread with caution. You have to be a cautious skeptic. You have to be skeptical, and you have to never trust people nor their actions, but you have to trust the patterns that you see. So you have to be cautious, and you can be believing, but you should be cautious the greater the distance. If you're doing business over the phone, if you've never met this person, you have to be cautious because you could get burned easily. If you're across the country in a different country, you also have to be cautious. Although it would be nice to be trusting, it wouldn't be wise to put all your marbles in one bucket. And there's a lot of reasons why, because it's easy to say things and not have the repercussions, but also when I can't just show up in front of you, you can say whatever and act however you want.
Exactly. And you really have to be wary of that, because as we've noticed, having those in-person conversations and those in-person talks with most people in general, it's not going to go the way that it would probably go over phone, text, or internet shit, because let's be honest here, we're two pretty large guys. Jose's 6 foot, I'm 6'4"ish, maybe
6'5" on a good day.
I have no clue. Maybe
after a steak,
who knows? But so most of the things that people would probably say over the phone or let slide over the phone, in person, we're gonna address that, and just our bravado wouldn't necessarily allow for that type of treatment. You know what I'm saying?
Let's just put it this way. If you sit across the table from us and you know that you're doing wrong, you're going to be sweating buckets. And we won't even have to intimidate you by doing anything aggressive or physical.
And we've done it.
It's all mental.
We've done it to a person. I almost said his name. To a person. Isn't he older than us? Or was he younger than us?
I think he's 1 year older than us, or maybe 2.
Oh, yeah. So we've done that before. 2 people who are older than us. And, it's not going to turn out well. But So when you're having
can we reflect on his office though? I'm just remembering his little shitty
his
ass.
corner of the office, it wasn't the whole thing wasn't his, by the way.
It was a shared office, and he had to kick a girl out so he could talk to us.
Yeah.
Hey man, all I'm saying is he tried to lecture us on chess. He tried to lecture me on chess.
He tried to say that we pivoted to, what? Never mind.
Oh, we're just getting petty here. We're just getting petty here. Hey, relationships.
Yeah.
This is an example.
Right.
This is actually a perfect example. He was nice. He was kind. He was respectful. And he thought that that was enough. He thought that cultivating that relationship, right? Complimenting our appearance, complimenting our demeanor, complimenting our business, complimenting what we do, inviting us out, treating us like VIPs. He thought that building that relationship was enough to guarantee him business. But his assertion was entirely wrong. And I will argue that had he truly built the relationship right, he might have gained our business. But the thing is, he tarnished the relationship with his negotiation afterwards. If he had properly gauged us in what he was bringing us in for, we actually would have never showed up to the event. We would have had a very clear understanding, which I'm glad he didn't, because that's when we met and got our first group chat with our first multimillionaire. Well, we've met multimillionaires, but this is like the first one that we got into business with.
Yeah.
So it worked out, right? All power to the Most High. It was meant to happen. But from a business standpoint and from a logistical standpoint, had you been open, had you been honest, had you been truly respectful of our time and our business and our intentions by expressing what you can do and what you are bringing us on for, we might have actually either bite in or bite out.
So you actually went about it from the opposite perspective of what I was thinking. That is true, but also from the opposite perspective, it is a good example of business and relationships because initially, say that we put all our eggs in one basket and we trusted fucko, right? we trusted it, right?
Wow.
We trusted him at his word and thought that he was just going to connect us to having us be able to generate millions and millions of dollars, right?
Gobs of money.
Exactly. So say we did that and then we showed up there like how we showed up there. All our eggs are in that basket. We said, fuck it, we're going to make sure that we gear everything towards this particular company that he is associated with. We would have been fucked because what he said and what the thing actually was were two different things. So this kind of goes to what I was saying before as far as like, you do want to become friends with who you're, friends or acquaintances with whoever you are in business with. But you also have to keep a length between you and them so that you can step back and look at how they're doing things and step back and look at how they're, going about things. So at that point, which I believe we handled as well as possible, we saw initially he was saying all the right words up until that point to where his words had to turn into actions and the actions didn't align with his words. Then we were like, you sold us, I don't want to say a lie.
Oh, no. You just didn't tell us the entire truth.
Exactly. You didn't tell us the entire truth.
That's a pyramid scheme for you.
Exactly. So you didn't tell us the entire truth. So at this point, we feel like our time has been wasted, so we no longer want to do business with you. So again, you want to keep that level of, I don't know, let me see the numbers. You want to keep that level of curiosity and that level of skepticism with everyone that you're in business with, because again, how you may go about business and how you may treat people probably isn't always going to be how you're going to get treated. It's not because you're a bad person, and it's not because you're not doing anything right. Just most people in this world aren't always going to do things the right way. So if you want to be the morally, sound person and do things the right way, you're going to have to go through a lot of people who don't want to do things the right way. So in those cases, again, keep your eye on them. Say, hey, let me check those numbers. Hey, what are you doing? How is this going to get here? What are the legalities of this? Ask questions. And if you ask those questions, you'll normally get to the bottom of something. And if something is awry and is not, looking up to how you wanted it to go, you have to make that executive decision and say, hey, look, Am I going to continue doing this? They sound cool. They seem cool, but something's just not adding up. You're going to have to make the decision if it's the right move for you.
And it's interesting. I think that one of the caveats that a lot of people might have is that they believe that just because you don't see eye to eye with somebody that you can't do business with them.
That's right.
Now,
Great point.
I do agree that, say, a person that wants to partner with us is a lying, cheating scammer. I do agree that that's a scenario where you're like, no, I don't want to fucking do business with you because you're a piece of shit weasel.
And you're probably going to lie to me, cheat on me, pause, and also scam me.
And why is that? Because we believe patterns, not words, not actions.
What's her name? Kathy?
Kathy.
Shout out Kathy.
Shout out Kathy. And I think that a lot of times we get caught up in the fact that, hey, you might be a Jew and I might be a Christian. You might be from Africa and I might be from the south side of Africa. You might be Russian and I might be Ukrainian. There could be a lot of differences, right? I really picked the most polarizing things. I mean, hey, I could be Chinese and you could be from Singapore. Yeah. There's a whole lot of and the reason I really picked the most extreme scenarios is to make a point.
Yes.
At the end of the day, if you have your head on straight and I have my head on straight, the logistics that you have told me match up to the logistics that I need, we can do business. We don't have to see eye to eye. We don't have to have the same beliefs. We don't have to have the same morals per se. But as long as for a general case, we encompass similar values, then go for it. I'm not saying just pursue the money with an absolute degenerate idiot who's a babbling buffoon and a disgrace to society, his entire bloodline, and all of humanity. I'm not saying that. I'm saying if there are minor discrepancies and disputes, like, hey, maybe I abstain from alcohol and you drink alcohol, that doesn't rule out the fact that we can do business together. Because oftentimes we fail to overlook small, minor grievances or differences rather than pursuing the overall goal to just proceed in the positive direction. It inhibits our growth, it inhibits our progress, it inhibits everything. And that's, in my opinion, probably one of the most arrogant and conceited things you can think, because it's like my opinion is the only one that matters. My morals are the only ones that matter. My religion is the only one that matters. My culture is the only one that matters. My thoughts are more important than yours. Why are you such an idiot? Why do you believe what you believe? It's illogical. It's completely incomprehensible.
So, since you said that, I'm going to ask them, because I feel like I already know your answer. Would you rather do business with a nice guy who does shit business or an asshole who does great business? The guy that is an asshole may be an asshole to other people, right? But he could potentially make your business 10x what it's currently doing productivity-wise. And though you may not like being in the same room with him, the business that you do could lead you to do some wonderful things. However, the other guy, great guy, would like to hang out with him all the time, bring him around the fam, all that type of stuff. But he will financially sink you because he doesn't know how to do shit the correct way. I'm sorry. Again, you have to realize that there is a difference between personal relationships and business relationships. If you try to conflate the two, you're gonna fuck yourself over. So, in the realm of business, when you're thinking about what's best for you, you're fucking up. Because it's not what's best for you personally, it's what's best for your company or business. And sometimes what is best for your company or business may not align directly to what you may want to have around you, but you have to realize you don't have to go home to that person that you're in business with. You don't have to hang out with that person that you do business with. You don't even have to like that person that you do business with. However, if they benefit you and you benefit them business wise, then it makes sense to come together, form a good business fucking partnership, and both of you can however X your business, 2X, 3X, whatever the fuck. If y'all are both benefiting business wise from it, it doesn't matter how you feel about that guy, doesn't matter how he feels about you, as long as you can do good business with each other, you're probably going to continue to do good business with each other instead of doing business with that nice guy down the street who is just a perfect human being, but his business is shit.
You really just have to pick your battles. And you really just have to pick your people. And it's a preference. We're not telling you that this is the only right way to do it. We're telling you that long term, this is the best way to approach it. I don't think you'd be able to sleep well at night knowing that you've made very, very good business decisions, but very, very poor moral decisions. I don't think that anybody can truly escape either the feeling or the outcome of any negatives that befall them by their own actions. You know, if you believe in karma, whatever you believe in, if you believe in what goes around comes around, whatever you might believe in, I will tell you, good things come to good people and bad things befall bad people. And it's just a matter of time until they catch up. And that's it. That's all she wrote.
And just because you said that, I want to make a distinction. I'm not saying work with a guy who's just a amoral asshole to the point to where he's out here fucking, you know, doing things that you dead ass don't agree with whatsoever. I'm saying if a guy is not necessarily the best guy to be around, you don't like the same things, he comes off as smug, you don't relate to him well enough, then I would say, you know, it's still okay to do business with them. I'm not saying do business with the guy who's over here slapping people and kicking people downstairs, and just because he does good business, you know, do business with him. Fuck no. The guy is literally the terrorist. So don't do that. So I'm saying, again, if you don't agree with certain things, that he does, as long as it's something that you could sleep with morally, then I would say, you know, you can still continue to do business with him. But as long, if it's not something that you can feel like you can sleep with morally, and he's just like the scum of the earth and treating people like shit and literally just, you know,
let me put it
crap,
this way.
Then yeah, no.
Would you trust your child with them? As in like marriage. If you had a daughter, would you allow her to marry him? If you had a son, would you allow him to marry her?
To that point, though, would you say that you would only do business with people that you would entrust your children to?
I think it's a good metric, but I don't think it's a steadfast rule. And that's why I suggest it as a comparison meter. It's not a silver bullet. It doesn't make things right or wrong, but it gives you perspective. And an example is, would you put this person around your grandma? Are they respectable enough to the level where your grandma's not like, okay, they're a complete piece of shit?
Right.
There's small little indicators where, because sometimes you can't get outside of your head and you can't look at a situation objectively with an external perspective. So putting yourself in the shoes of somebody else or putting them in a different situation forces you mentally to imagine them in that situation and to objectively rule and identify the positives and negatives of their character and where their faults are and where their benefits are. That's what I'm trying to imply. Not necessarily this is a silver bullet. If your child can't marry them, fuck off. No. It's just maybe not. Okay, on to the next selector. But usually you can't necessarily get a, it's like cancer diagnostics. A lot of tests are inconclusive. And inconclusive doesn't mean the absence of cancer or the presence of cancer. It just means that they can't absolutely identify cancer. So you can't absolutely say that they're negative, but you can't absolutely say that they're positive. But you can say that there's a degree of certainty that they're not negative, which means that you can likely proceed doing business with them.
Right.
You never have 100% certainty, but you have enough where you can reasonably make a decision with the data that you have and trust it to faith and put the time into it and do your best. And hey, prevent the bads, prevent the negatives, and mitigate the negatives that arise.
Right. Gotcha. I agree with that. This has been a very interesting conversation.
Yeah.
I like this.
A lot better than this is one of the very few podcasts that we had to record a second time. I'm to blame for having to record for a second time because I was falling asleep, and Austin's description of me was one eye goes this way and the other one goes this way.
You said it was this eye. It's actually
it's this eye?
Yeah, it's that eye.
Oh, well, some female told me it was this eye. I guess she lied to me.
Yeah, it was veering off that way. I was like, okay, either you're trying to go to sleep right now or you're having a seizure. Either way.
Maybe a little bit of both.
Yeah.
But we're here now.
Yeah,
That's all that matters.
We're good.
So with much love, the AM Club podcast.
Signing now.
Mic check. The AM Club podcast.